The Silence of Plainfield, written by Harold Schechter. Plainfield, Wisconsin. A town lost in the sprawling farmlands of America's heartland. The silence here was heavy, broken only by the rustling of cornfields in the wind. It was the kind of place where secrets thrived, hidden beneath the facade of rural tranquility. Few could imagine the darkness festering within its borders, a darkness soon to be unleashed upon an unsuspecting world. The name Ed Gein would forever be etched into the annals of criminal history, synonymous with unimaginable horrors. The Gein family farmhouse stood on the outskirts of town. Isolated and dilapidated, it was a testament to decay and isolation. Within its walls, a young Ed Gein grappled with a world he didn't understand, shaped by the suffocating presence of his domineering mother, Augusta. The seeds of madness were sown early in that desolate farmhouse. The eerie silence of Plainfield was about to be shattered. A life shrouded in darkness. Ed Gein's childhood was far from idyllic. Born into a family burdened by alcoholism and poverty, he found little solace in the world. His father, George, was a weak-willed man, unable to stand up to his overbearing wife. Augusta Gein, a religious fanatic, ruled the household with an iron fist. Her twisted interpretation of the scriptures instilled a deep fear of sin and depravity in her children. Ed and his older brother Henry bore the brunt of Augusta's warped affections. She reserved particular scorn for women, believing them to be instruments of temptation and sin. This poisonous ideology seeped into Ed's psyche, warping his perception of women and sexuality. As Ed grew older, he retreated further into himself, finding solace only in the macabre tales his mother read aloud from the Bible. The line between reality and fantasy blurred, setting the stage for a horrifying descent into madness. Augusta's grip. Augusta Gein's influence on her son was absolute. She controlled every aspect of his life, isolating him from the outside world. Ed, starved for affection and approval, clung to his mother as his sole source of comfort and guidance. Her pronouncements on sin and damnation became his gospel, shaping his distorted worldview. Even after his father's death, Ed remained tethered to his mother. They lived together in a state of unhealthy codependence, their world shrinking to the confines of the dilapidated farmhouse. When Augusta finally succumbed to illness, it left a gaping hole in Ed's life. He was alone, adrift in a world he never understood, haunted by the ghost of his domineering mother. Unmasking the House of Horrors. November 16, 1957. The disappearance of a local hardware store owner, Bernice Warden, sent shockwaves through Plainfield. Suspicion fell upon the reclusive Ed Gein, who had been seen in town on the day of her disappearance. What authorities discovered at the Gein farmhouse would etch itself into the annals of criminal history. The stench of decay hung heavy in the air. Stepping inside, investigators were met with a scene of unimaginable horror. Human bones adorned the furniture, fashioned into grotesque ornaments. Skulls grinned down from the walls, their empty sockets staring into oblivion. The true extent of Gein's depravity was revealed in a gruesome tableau. The horrors uncovered in Plainfield were not the work of a sane mind. Ed Gein's descent into madness had been a slow, insidious process, fueled by his warped upbringing and the suffocating influence of his mother. Psychiatrists would later diagnose Gein with schizophrenia, citing his inability to distinguish between reality and fantasy. Gein's crimes, however, went far beyond the realm of the merely insane. They were acts of calculated cruelty, driven by a morbid fascination with the human body and a twisted desire to emulate his deceased mother. He had transformed his home into a macabre workshop where he indulged his darkest fantasies, using the remains of his victims to create grotesque trophies. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of Gein's crimes was his obsession with his mother. He had preserved her body after her death, keeping it in a mummified state in an upstairs bedroom. This act spoke volumes about his unhealthy attachment to Augusta and the profound impact her death had on his already fragile psyche. Gein's fascination with the female form, however, went beyond his mother. He had exhumed corpses from local cemeteries, driven by a perverse desire to create a woman's suit from their skin. This gruesome project, he believed, would allow him to become his mother, to crawl back into the womb of her suffocating love. The horrors uncovered in Plainfield sent shockwaves through America and beyond. The story of Ed Gein, the quiet farmer who turned out to be a monster, captivated the public imagination, becoming the stuff of nightmares. His crimes, so deeply unsettling and perverse, seeped into popular culture, inspiring a generation of horror filmmakers. Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 masterpiece, Psycho, drew heavily from the Gein case. The character of Norman Bates, a seemingly mild-mannered motel owner with a dark secret and a disturbingly close relationship with his mother, was clearly inspired by the real-life butcher of Plainfield. The film's iconic shower scene, with its shocking violence and chilling imagery, echoed the brutality of Gein's crimes, leaving an indelible mark on the horror genre. Ed Gein died in 1984, confined to a mental institution, his name forever synonymous with the darkest depths of human depravity. His legacy, however, extends far beyond the confines of his crimes. He became a cultural touchstone, a symbol of the monsters that lurk beneath the surface of ordinary life. The Gein case sparked a national conversation about mental illness, rural isolation, and the dark side of the American psyche. It forced people to confront the uncomfortable reality that monsters don't always lurk in the shadows. Sometimes, they hide in plain sight, concealed behind a veneer of normalcy. Today, the town of Plainfield bears the weight of its grim history. The Gein farmhouse, once a macabre monument to madness, is gone, burned to the ground in a mysterious fire. Yet the memory of Ed Gein lingers, an unquiet spirit haunting the town's soul. Visitors still flock to Plainfield, drawn by a morbid curiosity about the man who terrorized a nation. They come seeking answers, hoping to understand the darkness that drove a seemingly ordinary man to commit such unspeakable acts. But Plainfield offers no easy answers, only a chilling reminder that evil can take root anywhere, even in the heartland of America. The silence of the cornfields whispers of unspeakable horrors, ensuring that the legend of Ed Gein will continue to haunt the American psyche for generations to come.